I'm Pastor Royal Blue, and I'm here to tell you about the history of Need Camp that started back in 1963. It was initially called Vison Valley Youth Camp. It's on 80 acres of land on Page Bar Road, of course, on Clear Creek, and that's where Judge Eaton used to spend much of his time as a man out in these areas. Behind me is Whiskeytown Lake. When we initially came out here to look at the campsite in the fall of '62, the lake was not yet filled because the glory hole was not finished, the dam was not finished. But the next year, of course, out came our president, John F. Kennedy, and dedicated the dam at that particular time in September. And that, of course, was just before he was assassinated in February the 23rd, or November the 23rd, 1963. Today, this is the Need Camp as you see it, but oh, it was far different than that when I came out and saw this land the first day. It was all brush all over. Like even today, there are some men from the Conservation Corps out here clearing some of the land. Well, people came out and they volunteered time and they worked and worked to clear this land so that we might be able to have some degree of construction for cabins later. But they cleared off all the brush. There was trash all over, a barn had fallen down. They cleaned all that stuff up and got it so that we could start out doing some building that we needed to get the kids in a place here at camp. Now, before we could have children or young people come out here, we had to have some water supply. We had to have drinking water. And we located up in the canyon when the Chinese coolies had come over in the middle and late 1800s to mine gold here, that we found they had hewn out of the rock up there a cistern where they held water. And we found that, discovered it down under the undergrowth. We cleaned that all up, and the spring filled that little cistern, and that was our drinking water. And we had it tested, and it was pure water, and that first year is what we used. But then that wasn't sufficient, as we had a larger number of children and youth coming to camp. Now, the year after, or the second year, we brought a water line down from the main road, and over off of the hill you can see that 4-inch line, and that came down off of the main road clear up where the base of the dam is today. And that became our water supply, and it is today for all of you young people and children who come out to camp to use Need Camp today. That's where you get your water. So after we got our water situation settled, we had to develop, of course, housing, and we did that with the tent decks. And those you see behind me today are actually the tent decks, but they've been winterized. By that we mean the tents were taken down and they were boarded up and roofed up so that they're weatherproofed and they can use them in the wintertime as well as we did in the summer. Now back there we didn't use them in the wintertime because we didn't have them winterized, but the Need Camp and those who came out after us have done the job so that they can be used by you kids even today like they are. Well, actually, after we started thinking about our cabins and tent decks, we had to have bathroom facilities for the children and the young people, and that was our first bathroom up there with showers and all. And of course, it was close here to the playing field. This is the playing field where the kids, we leveled it all out so the kids could come out here and they could play softball and soccer and all kind of games out here. It was really great to see them do this. And after all, it wasn't that way when we came. This was all hilly and bumpy, and we leveled it out so they would have something like this, like you do today, as a playing field. What a joy it is for you to have a nice dining room to enjoy today, but that wasn't so when we came, of course. Our first facility was nothing more than a chuck wagon style eating place where you filled your plates and went out under the trees and sat and ate. But this dining room was put up by people who came and volunteered all their time, volunteered equipment. A man came up from another part of the state and volunteered laying up the fireplace and everything. And people came and worked all on a volunteer basis. And young kids learned how to do a lot of things as these adults worked with them, and they observed and watched. But you know, these kids worked hard. I can remember one family, the Dr. Nelson's boys were here, and the Matthew boys were here. So many were out here all the time helping out as we put these various facilities up one at a time. This looks like a pond today where the brush and the raspberry bushes and trees over there have grown up. They weren't there. But the water came in from Boulder Creek and filled this up here, and this was a beautiful swimming pool. We had bleachers along here for the people, and water came up to the second step so small children could play along here. And the water would go out into Clear Creek, and that was always a fun thing to tell the people that it's Clear Creek here, but it comes into the lake as Whiskeytown Creek. But the kids had so much fun here, and just off to the right is where their reflection circle is located. This is, of course, Reflection Circle, where you children, you young people can meet today and enjoy your gatherings together. Now, Judge Eaton used to come out here when he was a young boy and play out here. This is called the Page Bar. Judge Eaton worked with us when we were building this camp because he loved children. And he was the key judge in relationship to children and their many problems that they had in those days, because he was the one that handled the juvenile hall cases. But we used to come out here, and Judge Eaton would come with us many times. In fact, one of the last gatherings he spoke at before he passed away was out here at a big reunion we had out here called the Vison Valley Reunion. And Judge Eaton was here, and he did a marvelous job speaking to all of us and relating again the historical aspect of Page Bar and all this area in here that he used to know as a boy, being what it was then.
Kill an animal, skin an animal, cut your meat at table, pick your teeth afterwards, or murder your enemy, all with equal facility.
But today it's Need Camp, where you children, you young people get to meet out here today. And as you meet here, maybe you could just think back of all of those who, like Judge Eaton, had spent many days out here playing as a boy or out here as a young man. And think of all the other young people, such as you, that have been able to come out here and enjoy these facilities, now known as Need Camp. Across the way are some steps that the Chinese coolies had made for the swinging bridge that spanned the stream there, and it tied into the rocks back there and came in and tied into two big trees over on this side. They're no longer there, but that was a historical thing the Chinese coolies did out here as well. Reflection Circle is built on Page Bar, and Page Bar, of course, is where the Page brothers filed their claim back in the 1800s. And by the way, one of them was still living when Judge Eaton was a boy in 1920s, I believe it was. But this is Boulder Creek to my left here coming down, and that's why they call it Page Bar, because that's Clear Creek out there, and it runs in front of this big buildup of sand in through here. And this was, of course, a very historical place in all the years gone by where this stream joined into Clear Creek. Hey kids, the salmon just rolled out there. You know, back in 1963, when we built the camp, there were no salmon up here because of the dam downstream, but it's been removed, so you're apt to see some fish like salmon out there in the stream from time to time as well. You know, the amazing thing about all of this is that when you think back from the start to today, the things that transpired, for instance, all the young people that helped in the building of these facilities, they learned various trades such as carpenter trade and laying cement and electrical work and plumbing, and some of these used those skills that they learned here in developing facilities in different places around the world, such as down in Haiti, where there's a missionary, Bruce McMartin, and his wife. Others went down there and built a tabernacle and a school. those who went to Japan, missionaries from Japan, Irian Jaya, where facilities were built because here Donnie Matthews, for instance, learned how to do the job right. All around the world, young people that learn trades here have used them to help develop things to the glory of God and for the value of others.